want to start with you. Brady's 41. You know, we've had a long debate here on the show, well documented, the cliff. Are you backtracking on Brady's cliff now?
Stephen A., what is it you do? No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Oh.
Doesn't look good right now for me, but no, I'm not. Let me give you a metaphor here. Analogy, really. Remember the Roadrunner cartoons, guys?
Yeah.
Roadrunner on the
of course.
morning cartoon. And the coyote would be tricked into running off the cliff, right? Did he fall right away? No. He thought there was still ground under his feet. He didn't realize there was no ground there. Then eventually he looked down and realized there's no ground there, and then he fell. Remember, he'd hold up the sign and stuff like that? And I think that's where Tom Brady is right now. At this point, I think it is mind over matter. He's in a great organization. He looks like he's still got it, but that is the nature of the cliff. These guys, all of them, look like they still got it until they realize, whoa, there's no ground under my feet, and Father Time is undefeated. I don't think Tom Brady will be a great quarterback this season, but I have to admit, Stephen A., the early evidence doesn't look good for my prediction.
Stephen A., can I ask him something I've asked you before? Max, do you ever admit you're wrong?
If I'm wrong this season, I'll admit it. It's the preseason.
I was just wondering, like, even at home, if you will admit when you're wrong.
I think I do admit when I'm wrong. I've admitted it on this show. Like, there's been like 2 or 3 times, and then the other 1,000-something times I've been right.
Just checking. Stephen A.
Well, it's hard to be wrong when you take multiple sides, so I guess that's his defense. But I will say this about your argument, and I won't even debate it, Max Kellerman. I'll just ask a question, and I'll just let Darren get on you a little bit, because I'm curious. So, almost 2 years ago, you said Tom Brady was going to fall off a cliff. After you make those statements, he completes 67% of his passes, throws for nearly 4,000 yards, has 28 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions. But the cliff is coming. And then last year, he completes 66% of his passes, throws 32 touchdowns, just 8 interceptions, and wins his 3rd MVP of his career. And you're sitting here now saying it doesn't look good, but you haven't changed your position. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So in other words, you're not willing to acknowledge and admit the obvious, which is that you're already wrong. You're already
not wrong until
wrong.
the season starts. Not wrong until the season starts.
How?
Because none of this stuff counts. When the season starts, if he's still a great quarterback, I'll be wrong.
Okay. So which part of the season? Just for clarification, is it after game 1? Is it after game 4 in September?
If he is great in game 1, I'll have been proven wrong. He will have broken the record for longevity. But let me say, you fundamentally misunderstand the cliff. Darren, real quick, if I may. If I may.
Go ahead.
The idea that people have wrong about football quarterbacks throughout history, maybe now until Tom Brady will see, is that they see the older quarterbacks, the great ones, Favre, Peyton Manning, whoever it is, cruising along at such high altitude that the natural assumption is even in decline, they have years of excellence ahead of them. The reason I called it a cliff is because, in fact, that's not what happens. They cruise along at incredibly high altitude, and then all of a sudden, one day, they're just not good anymore. It happens suddenly, not like in other sports where there's gradual decline. That's why there's a cliff. That's why I call it a cliff.
Okay, so I'm just trying to get this right. So has he fallen off the cliff, or is it just like a parachute came out and it's just like a slow fall? Well, I'm trying to figure that out. Which one was it, Max? Is it a slow fall?
The drop dead deadline for my prediction is week 1 this season, but it's not the preseason.
Oh, it's not the preseason.
Can we
Okay.
do like a cliff burial
Yo,
on the show after week 1? Can we hold a ceremony and just and bury the hot take?
Freezing
Yes,
cold
it's-
takes.
Has Max ever
Hey,
apologized?
Molly, he's willing to admit that he's wrong, but in the same breath, he's quick to say that while he's looking wrong right now, why it's already proven he's wrong because Brady is over 30 and the last 2 seasons he's performed the way that he did. This is about the 3rd time Max has told us. Before it was me, then it was me and Will Kane, then it was me, you, and Will Kane, Molly, and now it's Darren Woodson added to the mix where we all have it wrong. Max Kellerman has explained his argument very cogently. He's very clear. But the rest of us have a fundamental lack of understanding
We didn't go to Columbia.
and comprehending as to the definition of the cliff. This is what it is. Even though Tom Brady's the reigning league MVP, even though Tom Brady just lost the Super Bowl where he passed for 500 yards, even though his birth certificate says he's passed 40 a while ago, which is when Max said he was going to fall off the cliff, we have a fundamental lack of understanding. Don't y'all understand it, Molly and Darren?
Yeah.
Don't you get it?
Let me tell you how-
we
let me tell you
can't
how
comprehend.
Yeah.
We
I
don't
get it.
comprehend
It's
what
like
Max
when
is
you
saying.
break
We don't
up
have a
with
clue.
somebody.
Or not?
We're lost. We can't comprehend what Max is saying. Don't y'all get it?
Yeah, yeah.
Of course we don't. Of course we don't know.
Let me
Of course
explain
we
how
don't know.
deep it goes. This
Okay.
is how deep it goes. If and when Tom Brady is great in week 1 and disproves finally my drop-dead deadline, which I established, when you asked me to clarify what I meant by the cliff, probably our 2nd show together 2 years plus ago. If he does that, you know who's the only person who's allowed to be impressed by Tom Brady is me. Because everyone else who doubted it, everyone else who simply assumed he would do what's never been done before, well, you just assumed he'd do this incredible thing. I was the one who, based on history, said no one has
I
ever
help y'all
done
out,
that
Darren.
before.
Darren,
I
Darren,
alone.
Debate,
I'm allowed to
swing.
celebrate.
Max.
That's right.
What are we in a
No,
courtroom?
Darren and Molly.
Don't try
Darren
to
and Molly.
flip it.
Darren and Molly, don't argue with this man over this issue. It is simple. I'm going to tell you here what Max cannot deny. You are the worst teacher in America.